Dr. Anita with another diamond moment. We know that diamonds are produced by time, heat, and pressure. What we do with the situations of our lives create the value that we have in our lives. And so it's very important to challenge the limiting beliefs and possibly even really go back and evaluate the fears of our lives in order to reframe, recalculate, and come out with that which is valuable that we've already received in life. If you have lived in this existence anytime, I'm sure that you have experienced challenges. I'm sure that you have experienced some heartache. And many times, the ongoing or chronic state of challenge or heartache can be very, very difficult, is very, very difficult. And I wanted us to talk about what suffering is. And I can hear you now saying, oh my God, Dr. Anita, do we have to? And I would say yes, and the reason being, it is from those things that we gain the most understanding of not only ourselves, but of life in general. When we look at the things that are challenging to us, when we look at what ongoing pain or distress or hardship is, we find out that that is the definition for suffering. Ongoing pain, distress, or hardship. It implies that there is a conscious endurance of this pain or distress, that we have to consciously endure pain and distress. So then we turn it around and we look at, well, what does that mean to you? What does distress mean to you? It could be that I have gone for a long time and I've not been able to find the type of water that I like to drink. And because of that, I am distressed because I'm having to drink this where I would prefer to drink that. It may also come across to you as I am suffering because I'm not able to have exactly what I want to have when I want to have it. That causes suffering in my life. We have to look at what we term as suffering. What are those different levels of our perception that determine whether or not we're living a good life or whether we're living something that's basically intolerable? Is a slight convenience that you experience on an ongoing basis, is that suffering? Maybe it's a moderate change that we need to make. Maybe it's, I can't shop quite as much as I used to, and because I can't spend X amount of dollars, I'm suffering. I'm not getting what I want. Maybe it's a severe, life-changing, ongoing, chronic event. Maybe you're experiencing a health challenge. Maybe you've had the loss of a loved one. And in that, being able to adjust to that particular challenge or that particular heartache or heartbreak or distress is suffering to you. And then there are those that are at the level that Scripture said that we may have suffered, but we haven't suffered it to the point of death. And anything in which we have not succumbed, and anything in which our life has not been removed, we don't even look at as suffering. So being able to determine what an ongoing pain, what a long-term distress or hardship means to us. What is that? How do we define that? Because as we define that, we're able to see what is really important and what is not. I've told you in my life, I found out on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being death, that most of the time the stuff that bothers me doesn't even get on the scale. The frustration of having traffic and knowing that every day at this time coming home there's going to be traffic, get over it. because it's not what you think. We awfulize. We make things more difficult than they need to be. We make this the worst thing that ever happened in life, when in actuality, it really isn't. We cause ourselves, by the way that we define suffering, to suffer. And sometimes we do that on purpose. I want to ask you a very profound question, and that is, are you punishing yourself? Are the things that you're experiencing in life really a point of ongoing pain, distress, or hardship? And if so, where is it stemming from? Is it stemming from our perceptions, a slight inconvenience, a moderate change needed, a severe life change or ongoing chronic event, short of death? And how are those things entering into our lives? Are we creating a situation in life that is more difficult than it needs to be? I've run across people who have actually punished or are punishing themselves. They are making their own lives a distress, a hardship. They're undergoing long-term or chronic pain and distress because they are attempting to control their lives in a manner that they are punishing themselves for things that they did, should have done, didn't know to do, or would do differently. But because the mistake happened, it requires some type of retribution, and they will seek that retribution on themselves. Have you ever come across a person who has been given maybe a diagnosis of something that can be changed, and they determine that they're going to continue doing what they want to do and continue suffering the ongoing long-term pain of that behavior? We see it many times with people who are battling addiction. Sometimes the addiction is serving the purpose of punishment for maybe decisions they've made or things that they wished had happened. Sometimes we look at people who are battling in the throes of addiction, that they are attempting to medicate themselves. The attempting to medicate themselves can also go back to, why don't we just deal with the underlying problem and then you won't need the medication? Have you ever come across a person that has just decided that they are going to continue in the way that they've been going, no matter what, because the behavior, the payoff of that behavior is more rewarding than to actually remove the suffering, the challenge, the ongoing distress from their lives? Are you punishing yourself for a mistake that you've made because you think that something this severe deserves or requires a punishment? You know, even if we are looking at people who have been incarcerated for making a mistake in life, for making a mistake that had legal consequences that caused them to be put in a position of imprisonment, even those people, once they have served their time, there is a plan made to release them from imprisonment. There is a plan that is put in place that after you have done this for X amount of years, X amount of days, X amount of time, you will be released. And once you are released, you may have to be on parole. You may have community service. It may be fines. It may be whatever that you have to pay in that restitution to finally be made completely whole, to finally be in a position where you are no longer paying the consequences, the price of what the mistake that you made. And do you know that sometimes there's people in life who have never come to the point of having a plan to come out of the punishment, the self-imposed punishment that they have put on themselves. And sometimes these people will punish themselves into the grave. They will hold on to what I did wrong that I feel as though I can never overcome, and hold on to that thing until there is no more life left. We have to really be understanding of who we are as humans. We have to understand that, yes, our actions do have consequences, but to continue to perpetuate suffering, is that helpful? Or if we are in the process of seeking retribution to ourselves for what we've done, when does that end? When does it stop? When are we able to forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we've made and move forward? And is there a plan to be able to move forward, to be able to leave behind the mistakes that all human beings make, and to re-enter life at a better place, in a better place within ourselves, and to move forward? When we understand how we perceive pain, how we perceive distress, how we perceive hardship, how we perceive suffering, then we're able to make some decisions on how we re-enter life, on how we come back from the things that we've done. You know, there is a school of thought that says you need to make amends to people. It means you need to say, I'm sorry. You need, when you realize, as we also say, when you know better, you do better, then you need to realize that I needed to do better, and I'm coming to you and I'm asking forgiveness for the things that I've done. And in that, being willing to accept whatever that forgiveness would entail. There's sometimes people will accept your apology and yet not want to reinstate you back into the center of their lives. They've learned that I can do better without this. This is not how I want to live. This is not where I am at this point. And yes, you may have determined that something was wrong and you want to change it, but it does not mean that that person has to allow you back into the center of their lives. So I want us to think deeply at this. Are we punishing ourselves? What's our definition of suffering? Is it a slight inconvenience? Is it that we need to make moderate changes in our lives? Is it something severe that changed our lives and we're not able to release ourselves from that? Are we chronically and consistently punishing ourselves, which leads to a level of suffering and hardship that we don't have to have? What have you learned in life that would give you a different ability to withstand hardship as it comes in the future? Understand that there's nothing that we go through that this is a one-time off and we'll never have to experience this again. We experience the things in our lives because it will happen again, and we will have to make decisions as to how we handle them. That's where the jewels of the diamonds come from. That's where they come from, is utilizing what we never used before. I hope that this has been a help to you. I hope that it's something that you'll take and sit with and think about. How are you handling the challenges of your life? What does suffering mean to you? Is it just a slight inconvenience? Is it a moderate change that needs to take place? Is it a severe life-changing or ongoing chronic event? What does it mean to you?